to the place where singles shine, celebrating life, divine by design. In faith and love, we intertwine. Route 77, where your journey's prime.
Welcome to the Route 77 podcast. Today, we will be diving into a thought-provoking discussion inspired by a recent article about people talking to an AI pretending to be their future selves. We'll explore what we wish we could tell our past selves, how we feel about our single walk in life right now, and what questions we would ask our future selves, all from a Christian perspective. Let's get started. Welcome to the Route 77 podcast. I am your host, Natasha, and I am here with Monique. Hello. But no David. He is not feeling well today, so he is taking a break. If you want to pray for him, that'd be great. This past week, I saw an article, because it's all about the articles. There was a study done about people talking to an AI that was essentially pretending to be their future selves, which is weird. And it was not conclusive in any way. And we're really new into the AI everything. But the one thing they did find is that they tested 344 people between the ages of 18 and 30. And findings show that users felt less anxious after talking to their future selves and even more motivated. So these were obviously fake AI, people like talking through AI as if they were the future selves. And while we're not looking to do that here or even really be negative about it, we thought, what would it be like if we could tell our past selves something? What do we feel like about where we are and where we're headed right now? And maybe ask some questions that we wish we could ask our future selves.
This left me in a big conundrum. You know that, right? I sat there and I went, so if I were to tell my younger self, how far back would I go? Oh, would I go back all the way to high school and say, yeah, shut up, you need to do so that you don't end up, how far back? That's the thing. There's a song by Mercy Me, because I never mentioned them.
Never. I don't think you've ever mentioned
I don't think I've ever
them
mentioned
this podcast yet.
No.
This current in the last 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
They have a song called Dear Younger Me. And it's basically telling your younger self about, it's a song about talking to your younger self. So I would like, what would I tell my younger self and how much younger would I go?
And the thing is, I'll put this out there. I'm 99% sure that my younger self would not listen to me.
Pretty much.
I remember there was the very, very first course I took in my master's course was about how to write research papers, how to research and write. And it was amazing. It showed you how to go through all of online resources, finding the resources in your library, how to see if a website is considered academically sound, all those type of things. It was great. And I was sitting there telling the guy that was running the course, I wish I had this when I went to university the first time for my bachelor's. But I am 100% willing to admit that my younger self probably would have gotten nothing out of this course because I don't know if I was mature enough to appreciate what they were showing me. I would maybe like to encourage and show people like how the things that I got taught in this course to other people that are younger and hope that they listen and try to encourage them. But yeah, that was me in my early 20s. I wouldn't have been like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I think I just wouldn't have had the maturity level to hear it and understand that this was actually, if I applied myself properly, I would get good things out of it. So again, I don't know if I actually could time travel. If it was a Time Lord, get the TARDIS, I'll find a Time Lord friend and go back. And it doesn't mean that we can't convey to those listening lessons or things that we wish that we could share with others. And if it was our younger selves, if anybody was like our younger selves, then perhaps you can give I don't want to say wisdom. I don't know how much wiser I am, but experiential knowledge, just give it some grain of salt. And hopefully it can help you to avoid some mistakes that we made and maybe even help you develop as a person quicker. Because I like to say I didn't become an adult till I was 40. So if you can get that before then, that would be a help for life too.
I don't know if I'm an adult yet. But I understand what you're saying because when I think back to, say, if I went back to the younger self of me in high school and say all this foolish stuff that you think is so important is not. The things that are important are the things that you think are not important. And the things you think are important are the things that are not important.
Yeah.
Because trust me in this, you are not going to find the love of your life in high school, get married, have that white picket fence and a house. That's not going to happen.
It's a very small percent. I know one person who did that and they're still married. But it was, I would say like you're in the 1%.
Yeah. I actually don't know anybody.
They were dating a couple of years before the end of high school. They got married 2 or 3 years after high school and they're still married.
But yours was a small high school.
Yeah. But I would say it was like a 1% thing. I don't recall anybody else that's in the same relationship they had in high school. Like all the people that I played soccer with and they're friends with on Facebook, they are married to completely other people.
Small town high school with small town kids where you pretty much only know each other. Your chances might be slightly larger. I grew up in the city and I went to a big high school. Nobody I know dated, married right out of high school. It didn't happen. Like everybody that I knew that I grew up with, they're all gone off and done their own thing. If that's what you think is going to happen to you, that you're going to find the love of your life, get married, have kids, and pick fence of the house.
We're not saying it's not going to happen. We just say don't plan that being your life plan because there's only so much that you can actually do in that situation.
Yeah.
I think I referred to this on another podcast, but I said there was this one woman who actually planned her wedding, sent out invitations like it was like a year and a half or 2 years ahead. And she did everything. And then she had to cancel it because she didn't actually have a person to marry. She figured that she gave herself 2 years that she would have someone by then and it would just be all ready. But that's how much she believed she would have it. She actually just planned everything, sent out invitations, booked a hall, catered everything.
And how much money?
I don't know. But I just remember reading an article about it. And it's just like, she was like, I thought I would have found somebody. So that's giving somebody who went forward with I believe this is going to happen and did all that they could do in the situation, but it still didn't happen. Again, the chances of people finding somebody getting married it's like
1 in 5.
Yeah. And I would just say it's more likely a person will be married than stay single forever. Okay. It doesn't mean that you won't separate, divorce, become widowed or anything. Those are all parts of life for people. Some people you can't control that. But the chances of you going from birth to death and having no relationship in between is very slim. Usually there's something, but it can happen. Some people it's that way. Some people don't choose it that way, but it happens. But I would say percentage wise, there's a more percent chance that you'll get into a relationship of some sort than not. Because even you and I were in relationships, even if they didn't work out or whatnot, and we're single now. But I think so I don't think we can go around just saying, plan to never get married. But how about we don't plan anything about your relationship stuff?
I do know people who have pretty much gone through their whole entire life without a relationship. But again, those percentages are small.
Mhm.
The chances are you may possibly get into a relationship. Now, the question is if that's a good or bad relationship. That's the other story. Because I know a lot of people who have gone through many relationships. And the reason that they failed was because they were bachelors.
Yeah. And see, I grew up with a church. I love my church, my old church family, and I still have many of the same beliefs doctrinally that I grew up with. So I didn't completely throw everything out. I changed a little bit, but not drastically. But I grew up very much marriage focused, marriage oriented. The highest calling of a woman is wife and mother. And I believe that fully. I am not a person who likes long hair and dresses. And yet I was like growing out my hair in college because I'm like, this is what guys like. And I sometimes wore, I don't want to say often, but sometimes wore slightly more feminine attire, mostly shirts and still didn't like dresses and stuff. But then with my ex, I was wearing all this type of things all the time, which was frustrating. Anyway, so like I was trying to change the stuff about me and I thought this is what guys want and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, don't go around looking like a blob. I think just like you're sitting there like you don't shower for 3 weeks and you just wear like clothes that are. I'm like, okay, yeah. I think you can help yourself in some ways, but I wouldn't say change your whole person. But I grew up with that mindset and I embraced it. Like I was 100% willing to be that person. I wanted to be a wife and a mother, a stay-at-home mom, homeschool my kids. Like I was sold. I was like, this is the best life for me. This is the life I want. I desire to be married. I desire to be a mom. God wouldn't put those desires in me if it wasn't supposed to be. Like, I believed it all wholeheartedly. I was not doubting that this was my future. And I went through high school, even though I was homeschooled for grade 9 to 12, and I was in grade 13 in Ontario, which was a thing then. It's not anymore. But anyway, I went because I wanted to play soccer in high school, so I went there 1 year. And then I went off to college. But I went through high school not even wanting to date yet. Like, I wasn't really interested enough in people to date, the guys to date or whatever. But because I was always thinking, you know what? I have time for that later. I don't want to date for the dating sake. I want to get married. So I'm too young. Let's worry about this later. I go to college. I'm going for my MRS degree. That's all I wanted. I had.
MRS? What's MRS?
Just spell it out, put a period at the end.
Oh, your missus degree.
Yeah.
I
So yeah,
you like the college to be a what?
that is the 100% only reason I went to college. It was a Christian college. I had no goals career-wise. I took phys ed because that was an interest to me, and I took English as my minor because I liked reading. So I was like, okay, English minor. And eventually I added on Christian education because I was thinking I wasn't really looking to become a teacher, but I'm like, hey, if I homeschool my kids, nobody can be like, you can't homeschool your kids. You don't have the education to do that. Because that's what some people say, right? We're probably like, I have this, it's good. I'm ready to be married. And 5 years passed because I took the extra degree. So I took 5 instead of 4 years. And I still had not found somebody. Okay. And I came back from university back to the farm. And I half-heartedly tried to get teaching jobs, but not really. I did love the farm and I missed it being in school, and I'd come home every summer, and then it was just like, it's just like there's one guy for every 4 girls at the time at the Christian college. And so there is 3/4 of the women not getting their MRS degree, although not everybody was just there for that. But many of them were okay with.
By the way, that ratio has not changed.
Well,
It's still that way.
higher for the. And so the problem that I had too, it's just like I'm sitting there, I was fully on board. But here I am, like 23, 24, nothing's happened. And all that I felt, I don't know if I specifically was feeling I'm a failure as a woman, but I didn't know what to do with myself because you just go to college because that's what you do, but you're supposed to, but it didn't happen. And I had no career goal. So I was just working on the farm and then looking for a job that would get me to marriage by filling in the time. And then my baby brother, who's 7 years younger than me, got married and started having kids. It was when I was 27 and 28 when he got married, and then had a kid like 10 months later. And so it was like, and I was in depression. Like, I didn't know I was in depression, but I was in depression because I felt like, just what's the point of anything? Like, why is God putting all these desires in me and not fulfilling them? So that was me in my 20s when I met my ex. So you could see if you look back how I set myself up for that one. Because again, through my entire marriage, even though it was like abusive, all I could think of and cling to was the fact that at least I'm married. So that's just a little indication of how that went. I was so focused on, I'm wrapped up with this idea that I was supposed to get married and have kids because God doesn't put a desire in you that he wouldn't fulfill.
But is that a desire that God put in you?
Or is it a good desire, one that people like hype up for you as being the be all and end all? And it's a good thing that you want. The Bible says it's a good thing, and not everything that we desire we get. Like, how many married Christian couples desire to be a mom and a dad and they cannot have kids?
Mhm.
Or they, for whatever reason, can't even adopt. There's different reasons why you couldn't.
This is where the thing about desires gets the problem. Because in those situations, I know this for a fact, that this turns into anger towards God because they go with that idea, God put this desire in my heart. He should be fulfilling this. He's not fulfilling this, so therefore he is not.
Yeah, so there's something, or he's not living up to what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So that was my heart and life in my 20s. And I don't know if going back and saying anything in my teens, like, would have been a big deal because I wasn't looking to date and stuff at that moment. But I
maybe
think
around
that
the
when
time.
I was going to university, I think it would have been like, imagine that marriage and kids is not something that's immediate. What are your plans? Don't even say, you don't even say to the person, imagine you're never getting married. Imagine if you're married, if the marrying part and having kids part isn't for another 10 years. What would you do with your life in the middle?
Because just imagine for a second here.
Are we
That you,
referencing again?
yes, we are. If we are thinking about that, having your older self come and say, now that you're here in college, get rid of the MRS degree.
Mhm.
Because imagine that it's not going to happen for 10 years. So you've got between now and 10 years to do something with your life. So you decide to do something else with your life. So you don't meet your ex, but you meet somebody way better because you decided to not put your life on hold and let God direct you.
And I didn't put myself in the mindset, or you can leave yourself open. Like, it's because you're just trying to fill that thing, which is supposed to be, I need to get married, is first, then have kids. But I need to get married, I need to get married. And then you're just like, this seems to work. I'm going to overlook every red flag. And again, I had no other relationships prior to this. Emotions for me were raging. Like, I loved him. There was a lot of drama that went on. I could write a book. People have told me to write a book, and people will probably put it in the fiction section because they would not believe it's true. But that's a whole like podcast.
I hear you.
But just like my mindset was so focused on marriage that it was no longer on God.
Right.
I think like just Pastor Justin says, like, you make a good thing and make it a God thing. I think my old pastor used to say, like, we start to look horizontal instead of vertical.
Right.
And you start, staying so focused down here that we forget that we have a higher calling to work to be what God wants us. So, like, to maybe encourage people who are heading into college, like, if you're thinking, I'm going to go to this Christian college to find a husband, okay, it might be a good place to go. Again, I met my ex in a church thing, so it doesn't guarantee. But also, if that's your only goal, that you're also wasting that time.
Yeah.
I didn't put much effort into any of my classes. I put average effort compared to what I put now in my master's. It's high effort. Then it was had done all the way along. I just did what I needed to pass. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm doing this because I desperately want to be a phys ed teacher or a kinesiologist or anything. I had nothing. So right now, even though I don't know what I'm specifically going to do with my master's, my goal is to get that master's. Because I know that even though I don't know, God knows what he wants me to do with it. So it's in his timing that I get it done, and it's his timing to reveal to how I'm going to use the information and education I'm getting. But my goal is to achieve that because I feel like that's what God's calling me to do. So put my whole heart into doing it.
Yeah.
And so it's such a different mindset from when I went to school the first time. Like, so different.
And it's such a good mindset to have because you're learning in these courses, because these are all ministry courses, you are learning more about God, which is what he wants anyway. Regardless of whether you actually do something with it or not. He's saying, Natasha, I want you to learn about me in every possible aspect.
And that's one of the reasons I took it because, originally apologetics, and now it's been switched to Christian studies. That's a whole other story, but that's how it is. But originally, I had been talking to my counselor, and I was just like telling him I was interested in it, and he was like in pursuing higher education. And I was thinking, you know what? I love Taekwondo. Yeah, I love physical challenges. I'm doing all these things to get my black belt, my next degree black belt, and focusing so much on it. And I'm like, if I can do this for sport, I should be doing at least this, if not more, for my faith. And when I first started, I didn't realize that unlike bachelor's, where you have papers and topics that are essentially given to you, we essentially have papers, but we can choose our topic or focus interest. I'm starting to, because of the master's, this is why this ministry started through my first leadership course, encourage this to start. I didn't know that you could be focused in the paper. So now as I take each class and I focus each class paper on singleness, it's all from different aspects. So my knowledge, and again, like at the beginning, when I started my master's, this ministry was not a thing.
No.
This was a conversation we had going, somebody needs to do this. And we completely agreed with each other, and it never went past the finish. So through the masters, God's already been moving.
Yes. And now look where we are.
And this is in my 40s, in a matter of the 4 years, because I started just as we were moving in here. I was on my first course. So 2020. And this is how far it's come. I don't even know where God's bringing us. And so just my focus is so different. So if I could have talked to my younger self, I think it really would have been about trying to take your focus off marriage and children as being like the focal point of that part of my life. And if college wasn't to be that part of my life, then okay, but something should have been, but not, because there's only so much you can do. Like, you can't just grab a guy off the street and force him to marry you or even date you or anything. Like, you can't just do it. You can't take a hostage, as much as we'd like to try, or
That's wrong.
but it has to happen outside of yourself. You can do so much with yourself, like keep yourself groomed, and you can do stuff to be like take care of your own body and look presentable to people, like you want to do when you're trying to find a spouse.
Right. But you do that for yourself.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, if you want to find a spouse, an attractive spouse, then you can do things within yourself to do that. You can become a better person. You can dress nicely, whatever you want to do, if you feel like it's something you want to do. But that's as far as you can go.
Right.
You cannot force it to happen at a specific time in a specific manner.
You're not going to open up your front door and there's going to be a line up for you to pick and choose. It ain't going to happen.
It's like kind of joke with one, I don't know which one it was, but it's like get all the marriageable guys and marriageable girls and put them in a tent, and as they come out, like they go together, they figure out who they're going to go with. But sometimes you're like, it sounds so easy. But like I say, there's only so much you can do. Now what you're going to do with your life, and just tend to take that horizontal focus and make it a little more vertical. I don't know. Again, I probably wouldn't have listened to me. I would have thought there was a crazy liberal person trying to corrupt their traditional conservative minds. But I really think that a better way of going about it. If you're going to college and you're willing to put that money out, you're going to be in debt 10 years at least, then make it worthwhile. Take something you want to take, not just something you think you should take. Don't just take hairdressing, which again, if you want to, fine. But some people have this idea, like I've heard it too, that women should take stuff that will help them as a mom in the home. So like hairdressing or sewing or cooking or something. So if you want to, go for it. If you're good at that and you think it's great, go for it. But don't just diminish your options. But I'm just saying, so don't diminish your options because you think you should take something because you're a woman or a man. If you want to be a hairdresser, go for it. Don't just have to be a plumber or whatever. I don't know what guy things are like. Construction, I don't know. Doctor, lawyer, dentist. So we're just saying, find out what your interests are, find out where your skills are at, see what options are available. So be more open to looking at the goal of your education.
The funny thing is that there are things that you may think you like that you don't think there are jobs for. Google is great.
Oh, I know.
AI is great because you can say, I like to do this. What kind of jobs can I do? And they can give you a list.
Told my brothers the same thing when they went.
When I was in high school, we didn't have that. We didn't have the internet. We had none of that kind of
We
stuff.
had counselors that didn't help very much.
And they'd say, and even my dad, I love to draw. I love to paint. I wanted to paint. I art. And Dad said, you can't make money off it. Yes, you can make scads of money doing what you love. Especially now, because now you can do things like web designer. You can
Like
go
marketing is very much artistic.
marketing, design, architecture, even
The computer developer. That's my brother's job. Computer game developer. He's an insane artist, but he's also an insane mathematician, so he can do the art and the programming.
and that. So
So I told my brothers, because I didn't know going in what it was even out there.
Yeah.
I like sports. But when both my brothers went to school, they were like 5 and 7 years younger, but they finished, whole other story, but they finished school at the same time, homeschooling, high school, and they went off at the same time. I said, look at the things you're interested in and just see what's out there, not just the standard. Like when you think of something, doctor, lawyer, teacher, you think of those things quickly. But then if you're thinking veterinarian, but say biology is super hard for you. But hey, there's vet tech, lots of different things. Dog groomer, you can take college courses for that. And there's horse chiropractic.
Oh no.
You don't know because you just think vet. You'd like to be a vet, but then you look at it and you're like, I don't want to be a vet. That's a lot of schooling, or I'm not so good at this, or not.
way across the country just to learn how to be a vet.
Yeah, I know. But there's all these options that you don't know. So that's what I would tell my younger. I probably try to hit the early 20s or right when I was going to college and just refocus my life goals at that point. How about you, honey?
Actually, mine is not that far different from yours. If I were to go back that far, see, part of me also, I have a beautiful daughter. Do I want to go back far enough that she does not come into existence? That's a hard one for me because I love her dearly and I wouldn't want my life without her.
There's actually a movie. I can't remember the name of it. But basically, the men in the family had the ability to travel back in time. But if you travel back in time before your child was born, that child would either not exist or become a different child. He went back one time, he didn't know, and he came back and his son was a daughter. And so then he had to make the decision. His wife wanted another child, and then his father passed away. If he had another child, he could never go back in time and see his dad. It was an interesting thought experiment.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just reminding me of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because my now self would tell my younger self in high school to not slack off so much because there are things you can learn that you may not realize are out there. Unlike you, I didn't grow up in a Christian home, so I dated a lot. I had boyfriends and stuff like that. And my idea was to get married once I left high school. But the guy I was dating in high school, we broke up. And we broke up, well, good, gone, no ever coming back to you. Thank you very much. And so I think that's a detriment as well, because each time you date and break up, you start to think that there is something wrong with you, that people don't want to stay with you, or that there's something wrong with them, you don't want to be with them either. But if I were to go back to a more appropriate time, I would go back to before I met my husband and warn myself strongly about listening to people who try to control your life by telling you what you can and cannot do, where you can and cannot go, what you can and cannot learn. And I would have let myself go through, because I was accepted at Langara College for computer programming. I had that whole ticket all ready to go. And I had a friend tell me that I can't do that. I don't know if she was jealous or what, but she said, you can't do that. You've got to take care of your kid. You can't go to school. Your daughter will never see you again. And that kind of went, oh, then I guess the only option for me is to get married. I probably would never have gone that route. I would have gone to school. I would be too busy at school and taking care of my daughter to have gone into a relationship that basically ruined our life. So that would be where I would probably go. Was I don't listen to her. Don't listen to what she says. You have got yourself a good opportunity here that will take you far more places than you could dream or imagine. You will be able to provide for your daughter more than you ever hoped for. Don't give this up. Do this because you got it. This is in you to do. And this is the kind of encouragement that we should be telling our younger selves too. You've got this. You are better than this. You are better than what you said.
Exactly. When I talk to my kids at Taekwondo and even my nieces and nephews, okay, barring something illegal or something like, I want to fly to other galaxies, which probably will not happen in our lifetime, even though I might be illegal. But generally, I will encourage any of the kids what they say they want to do. I don't care how weird it is or crazy, so long as it isn't immoral or illegal. I'm not going to say, yeah, you should be a sex worker. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to say that to a kid who's, I don't know. Nobody's ever said that, but I'm just saying that's like the immoral part. I might tell their parents that this is what they want to do and they might want to talk with them. But anyway, generally, anything they tell me, no matter what their age, then they can change their minds. They're completely free to do that. I will encourage them. And even to the point of saying, hey, have you thought about doing this? Like one student I had, he was a teenager and he's wanted to get into being a director and all this type of stuff. And I said, oh, have you listened to like director commentaries on like movies and stuff? Because sometimes when the directors are commentating, you get a lot of information of why they did things. And he's like, yeah, I can listen to commentary. But then he came back later and he's like, thanks for telling me to listen to that. Because you might have listened to it for fun because it's a part of the whatever. But whenever you actually listen to it as like an educational thing, wow,
I actually learned something.
Yeah, and like I remember learning that Stargate, they had the two directors that do commentaries on there were very good at explaining exactly why they chose to do things. So anyway, that's off the topic, sorry. But yeah, like I just say to the kids, that sounds awesome. I think you can do that. What are you thinking about? What's your interest? Like, and I don't try to say, no, you can't do that, or oh, that's nice. But I try to like be really encouraging.
Very encouraging. Like with May, our friend May, when they started bringing in fostering animals and stuff like that. And then she got, yeah, I was thinking about maybe being a vet. She'd be all like that. And she would, because she's got such a caring heart for these animals. And she just loves, like, the minute, every time we got a cat, can I hold her? Yes. Here you go. Here's the guy. Good cat.
She's so good with it, and that's what she's planning to do.
And that's what she's
planning to go for.
She's got accepted at UBC, which is one of our elite universities. And she's going to be taking her sciences there. She had a choice between SFU and UBC. SFU is a good school, but to go to SFU, their sciences course, you would have to take school for 8 years before you could become a veterinarian. With UBC, it's cut down and you only have to do 6 because their science courses are a little bit
better,
stronger.
So yeah, we're super encouraging on her. But again, if she decides that she wants to go a different route, we'd be super encouraging in that. And I don't think that's flip-flopping. I think that's just saying, hey, you can make a decision, but you're free to change that. You're not locked in. Because I know there's one guy that went to college, to university in my old church, and he pretty much flunked out. But then he went to a college, took mechanics or something like that, and he did super good at it. So it wasn't like he could be like, oh, he can't do anything or whatever, but university just wasn't for him. Like it wasn't hit, but he was awesome at hands-on work.
Yep.
So if you see someone, they're trying something and it doesn't work out, then give them the.
That's okay if it doesn't work out. You will find your place.
Yes. And education is not a waste.
No, it's not. It never is. Even if it's this is too hard. This just doesn't interest me. What does interest you? And if your interest is vague, go, if I've had this, can anything come of it? Bam.
You never know.
Like 100,000
options.
Yeah. And you could just say, oh, I could take on that.
But I think because we went through the things that we did, that has changed how we deal with people around us.
Right.
About trying to be that much more encouraging. But I don't think like in a negative way, in like a insipid way.
No.
But in a genuine way. Like we genuinely want you to pursue these things that you really want to do. Even if at some point you might think, oh, are they even suited for this? But if that's something you really want to do, and we're going to encourage you in it.
Yeah. Because you never know. We're only looking at them from this side of them. They know them. They hopefully know their own selves.
Yeah.
And once you get into that teenage years, this is the time when you need to start thinking about, what are you going to do after college? I'm going to get married and have kids.
Marvelous.
This is a great back burner.
What are you doing until then?
What if you're grade 12 graduating and you're not even dating? What are you going to do?
And I would highly encourage you not to go for an MRS degree.
No.
Try to, and don't just, I would say don't just go to school, because that's the next step.
Right.
Take what they call that gap year if you need to. Get a job. Yeah, get a job. Okay, don't just stay home. Find a job, even if it's flipping burgers or whatever. Like you're not going to make a ton at it, but it'll help you, give you an idea of what do I like? Okay, I don't like flipping burgers. I don't want to be a cook. Or I wish I could do more different things than this, and it could spark an interest. You don't know. Or I'm really good at dealing with people. Like I'm a good customer service person. Or I hate dealing with people. Don't put me and leave me in the back.
4 nieces. One of them is the same age as Amber. She actually went to university I have no idea what she took, but she loved it and she had a great time. My niece, Nicole, so proud of that girl. She went to university. She got her RN, nursing degree, started working in the labor and delivery of the hospital, and was so good at her job that when she applied to work at the NICU, she was pretty much handed it on a silver platter.
Nice.
So that's where she works now, at a hospital in Calgary. She works in the NICU. Her sister, Kira, she's going to culinary to become a baker. She's going to make these fabulously marvelous, creative, decorative cakes. And I'm just like, that is so cool, right? And my youngest niece, Angela, she didn't know which was to do. So she's taking that break to figure out where she wants to go.
Mhm.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And I think it's a good thing. Like if you don't know what you want to take, and sometimes you can go that 1 year, first year, if you're going to university, often there's like core courses you're required to take, and they're in a variety of subjects. Because in order to take university, you always have to have stuff in every subject, like history, art, music, because they want you to have at least a rudimentary knowledge of these things.
Right.
So even going that first year, sometimes you don't have to take a major yet. Just say, I'm going to take those first courses and see which ones I actually really enjoy, and then you can go from there.
You have to have the high school equivalency, though, to be able to go to university.
Yeah.
So if you are in high school and you're thinking, I probably will going to have to go to university after, you do have to make sure you get the grades. No, don't skip out on class.
And there's some jobs that you can get that are pretty decent if you have your bachelor's, whether you get it within that. Like when I applied, I actually got an interview with thesis.
Yeah.
And I had a bachelor's of physical education, but I just had all they wanted was that you had a bachelor's. So you could show you could commit to something and get it.
And that's part of the reason why they like to see secondary education.
Because they see that you've committed and you've done it. And a lot of times like that development of the skills that you develop, regardless of what you take, can help you in the long run. And so that's like a lot of these courses don't apply to me teaching Taekwondo or breeding cows. And yet there's like a lot to be said.
But physical education part,
It works now, yeah. But there's a lot of like, English stuff never used. It's been 20 years, so I probably don't remember much of it, but the education is not wasted. But I think you do yourself a disservice if you don't actually have a plan or a goal. Like I have the goal of getting my master's, even though I don't have a plan, quote unquote, because I think God has a plan for that. But I definitely have the goal to get it because I think that's what God wants me to do. You could be like, I really want to do this degree. I'm just not sure what I'm going to do with it after. But understand that getting a degree can help you get other jobs because like we've said, it proves that you've been able to commit to that in post-secondary education. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get the big bucks, but it can make your resume look better than the other person's, help you get a job.
Yeah.
That's a little higher than the minimum wage. Hopefully. Not a guarantee, but hopefully.
Yeah. I just like calling it computer programming. I never did learn how to figure out the language of coding because I didn't grow up with computers. I was already an adult past the age of when computers came into being. Even when I look at it now, I can type up the code, but I don't understand it. That probably take me a little bit now with this brain that doesn't like a whole lot of new information. But my one claim to fame is that you can put a computer program in front of me and I will learn it within hours, if not days. I've had people tell me, yeah, it'll take you 6 months to figure this out. It will take me 6 months to figure out all the nuances that most people take 10 years to find out.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how it works in a couple of weeks. We got the new program at work and it's an online counting program. And the boss showed me, this is how it works. And I go, okay, I got it. And it's just, you don't want it. No, I got it. So I just played it. And I'm like, how do I do this? Okay, okay, I've got this. I'm teaching everybody else in the office. And I'm even teaching the bosses who took 6 months to learn it first. Don't you do this? I just have.
Because sometimes you're like, it must be able to do this. And then you.
Yeah, because I have that kind of forward thinking when it comes to computer programs. I have done that. Like I've taken computer programs. It's okay. I've got to learn this so I can teach other people. So I've learned the program. Nobody else is teaching me the program, but I learn the program and teach other people. Once I retire, which could be any time between now and whoever knows when, maybe by the time I'm 70. But one of the things that I could probably do is to teach people who are afraid to use the computer how to not be afraid to use the computer. So you can't break it. Throw it on the floor.
But generally, it's going to be, there's no delete all button.
No,
like you see on the computers and TV. We need to get rid of this information.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone now.
No, it's not here. Recover.
Oh, it was in the trash. It says move back.
It just says restore. Just go restore back to, and you've gone back to,
there's so many ways.
Yeah, you can't break.
But yeah, so unless you bring a ginormous magnet, then maybe.
Or if you pour your coffee all over the keyboard.
Let's do. I've done that. Well,
On laptop.
I did.
Peaches.
I did it too. It was like a vegetables, and I accidentally poured it all over my keyboard, and it stopped working. And then I opened it up and the next day, but then closed it, and then it worked for a year, and then it died. And then I brought it into Best Buy or something to have them look at it. They're like, I feel like I dropped soup on it like a year ago. Like soup and birds and everything. They're like, how did this work for a year?
Somebody had freaking.
Oh, they had to take the bit. Yeah.
What would you ask your future self? How are you feeling physically?
Which degree black belt are you now?
Did you ever make it to number 2? Because right now I'm struggling. And it's not because I don't want to. As your body ages, and if you develop any kind of tendon injury or joint injury or anything like that, it takes a long time to recover. My mind keeps telling me, you just got to do this. 30-degree weather makes it really hard to go for a walk, but I need to do the slower things to work myself down.
Yeah.
But I really don't know what I can tell my future self or ask my future self. Maybe that, do I actually make it to the next belt degree? How far did you go? Or did you quit? And I'd hope my future self would say, you know what? We persevered and we got it.
Yeah.
So I'm asking my future self to tell this poor, sad sap of a person in this century that you got this, girl. Exactly. Age is just a number. Your body is your own and you've got the control over it. Don't let your body control you. And do the things that your mind is telling you need to do in order to achieve what you need to achieve. Listen to your brain and listen to your heart, thing that goes all over the map.
Okay, I'll tell you. This is what your future self is telling you, according to ChatGPT. I know it's tough right now, but remember how far you've come. Your body has proven its strength and resilience time and time again. Achieving your second degree black belt isn't just about the physical journey. It's a testament to your perseverance, discipline, and unwavering spirit. Every ache and pain is a reminder of your dedication and passion. Keep pushing forward, stay focused on your goals, and remember that every step you take brings you closer to victory. You've got this, and your future self will thank you for never giving up.
I love it. I need a coffee of that. Can I put in?
So,
Exactly, son. I got this. I'm not growing there. So what would you tell your future self?
ask my future self.
Or what would you ask your future self?
I want to know what I'm doing made a difference in either the ministry or in the taekwondo. Like, was fulfilling in that way.
I would think it worked.
Hoping it will.
Based upon the excitement and the stuff that we've gone through just to this date. Because we've been doing this podcast for a year and a half, give or take. And each time we hit a milestone, we get excited over it. Every time we find that we've gained another new listener or 2 or 3, we are so thrilled to see that happen. Every time we find something new and do something new for the ministry, got the web page up. That was exciting because these things are exciting and we know that we're not just doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for God's glory. And one of the things that always moves me, and there's a scripture verse that will back me up, it's when we are standing before God and he says, well done, good and faithful servant. That is ultimately the goal that we really want to.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to have something, I just want, if I could hear God say that to me, that I think would be.
They did that all in one episode of Adventures in Odyssey. There was a one called Malachi's Message, and it was a 2-parter, and an angel named Malachi was going around. And at the very end, they all forgot that he had come, but he gave a message to everybody. And then Mr. Whitaker is like, you have one for me? And he says, yes, well done, good and faithful servant. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I agree. And those are the words that if you are a Christian believer, those are the words you really want to hear above anything else. Is that the God of the universe, the Savior of your soul, looks at you and says, well done, good and faithful servant.
We did a high five.
We did a high five because that's exactly what we want. Nothing more, nothing less. They don't matter.
That's the ultimate. Maybe we'll leave it there. That should be our goal, is that's what we want to hear God say. And that doesn't come from a point of pride. It comes like from a humble heart. And so
A heart that loves their Lord.
yeah, and wants to do what they've been called to do in whatever circumstances they're called to do it in. Whatever relationship status, whatever education, occupation, whatever, anything.
Whatever social status you have matters not, but that you lived your life to the best you could.
For God. So we'll leave you with that. Hopefully you're all crying, because we are. Anyhow, we should be back here next week, and David should be back with us, and then it won't be such a girly night.
Every now and then.
Yeah, so we hope you enjoyed our talk about our past and our presents and our future. And we ask that you would maybe leave a review. That would be awesome. A review would be awesome. Or finding us on Instagram. Instagram? Is that like a cereal? Instagram. Okay, I will repeat that. Maybe it was just a knockoff version of Instagram. I don't know. We're not on Instagram, but we're on Instagram, Facebook, and X. And if you'd like to find us online, we're at www.root7ca. And you can email us at root77ministries@gmail.com. So we'll see you here next time.
Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Root 77 podcast. We hope our conversation about what we wish we could tell our past selves, how we feel about our current path, and our questions for our future selves has been inspiring and encouraging. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X. You can also visit our website at www.root77.ca or email us at root77ministries@gmail.com. Until next time, stay blessed and remember to live your single life to its fullest.